I think we got a new rivalry brewing. Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes, which makes me think, what are my top 7 greatest quarterback rivalries of all time? I got a good list, don't go nowhere. I'm Michael Vick, and this is QB7. Number 7, Sid Luckman versus Sammy Baugh. Now, this is back in the day. I have to take you back, and I ask the fans to do this. Go back and watch some film with me. We'll all do it together and see who won this rivalry. But from what I know, these are guys who pioneered the game. They probably was one of the first 2 guys to ever line up behind the center, and they played their position really, really well. So, Sid Luckman versus Sammy Baugh. Everybody go dive into Google, find out who did the best. Rivalry number 6, Jim Kelly versus Dan Marino. Now, it's a ton of passing yards to go around between the both of these guys. Jim Kelly, you had the K-gun. Dan Marino was in the shotgun system where he just threw the ball all over the place to Mark Duper and Mark Clayton. Jim Kelly had James Lofton and Andre Reed. And I'm talking about balls flying everywhere and passing yards through the roof. Now, as far as the matchup, I would say that Jim Kelly won more than Dan Marino because Jim showed up in 4 Super Bowls. And Dan, I think, showed up in 1. So they had to clash, and I think Jim got the better of the rival, but it was always good to see. It was a great AFC matchup, and probably one of the best I've seen in my lifetime. Number 5, Joe Montana versus Phil Simms. Now, we know Joe Montana won 4 Super Bowls. Phil Simms only has 1. Jeff Hostetler came in 1 year after a great season that Phil had. I think Phil had got hurt, and he took the team on to the Super Bowl. That could have easily been Phil's 2nd, but I will say this. Phil was as consistent as they come. Joe was as consistent as they come. And I can see these guys, late 80s, early 90s, kind of dueling it out week in and week out or once a year and finding out who was the better of the 2 at the time. And I think I would have to give it to Joe Montana, 4 Super Bowl rings versus Phil's 1. Okay, my number 4 rivalry of all time. Ken Stabler versus Terry Bradshaw. Now this sounds like excitement. It sounds amazing. Stabler, the snake, was a lefty, a big guy. Nothing that he couldn't do on the football field. Terry Bradshaw, 4-time Super Bowl champion, league MVP. And this rival started with the Immaculate Reception, a play that was heard all around the world, still shown to this day. You're talking about 2 teams in the AFC that had to meet each and every year, and good quality quarterbacks playing behind the center. Makes it my number 4 rivalry of all time. I wish I was there live to see it all happen. Number 3, Aikman versus Young. Now, Troy Aikman was one of the most accurate passes the game has ever seen. Steve Young as well. I'm talking about completion percentages, 65 plus throughout the magical years of their career. As far as the rivalry, I will give the edge to Troy Aikman. Troy had 3 Super Bowl rings. The San Francisco 49ers was my team. I rooted for Steve Young. He was a lefty, but we always had to meet up with the Dallas Cowboys in the divisional rounds or the NFC Championship game. They outed us more than we got them. That was one of the great rivals, and just to see those 2, I wish we could have came out more on top, had more rings to show for it. Steve got 1, and I was blessed with that, and I was very thankful. But congratulations to Troy Aikman. He got 3, and he was a really, really good quarterback, which made this rival so worth watching. My number 2 rivalry of all time, some of the greatest games ever played. Joe Namath versus Johnny Unitas. And I don't have to say too much about both of these guys. I think when you go back and you watch NFL films, I think you get enough footage on Johnny Unitas to know that he was one of the best. And you also will see Joe Namath putting that 1 finger up after guaranteeing that Super Bowl and going out and getting it. To my recollection, it was a great game. He guaranteed the game and he won it. But these 2 had to meet a couple times, to determine who was the best. And I think at the end of the day, it was Johnny Unitas, but Joe did something that no one has ever did, and that was guarantee a Super Bowl win, and he had to go through the coast to do it. He's still famous to this day. He's still the man in New York. Johnny Unitas is still a legend, and we'll never forget these 2 guys who paved the way for a bunch of great quarterbacks who came after them. We're so thankful to have them, and that's why they're my number 2 rival. My number 1 greatest rivalry of all time, Manning versus Brady. We were all so blessed to watch these guys meet 17 times, whether it was in the postseason or the regular season, they got it in. And when I say they got it in, they went at it. Now, Tom won more of the games because he, to me, had the centerpieces all around him. You know, he had the coaches, he had the receivers, he had the defensive backs, he had everything needed to beat Peyton Manning, which is what you needed because Peyton was a machine. He studied, he understood offenses, he understood defenses, and he always put his team in a position to win. Now, we'll never see two quarterbacks like this ever again unless my son comes along and does it even better. But the fact that these guys met 17 times is something I think young kids need to go and watch. Watch these two guys go head to head and how much effort, how much of their competence went into the game and winning. They both love the game of football. They both did it at an exceptionally high level. I'm glad I had the chance to witness it. And last, an honorable mention. Myself versus my cousin Aaron Brooks has to be thrown in there. Now, when I played for the Atlanta Falcons, the New Orleans Saints was a rival, and my cousin just happened to play for the Saints. We met 3 times, and I just happened to win all 3. And I want him to know that, listen, it's no bad blood, cuz I still love you, but that rival right there was something I've been wanting ever since high school. I got a chance to do it in the pros, and we did it well. So thank you for the competition. Thank you for uplifting me. You were a great player in your own right, and I'm glad I had a chance to play against you. Well, let's be real. I won that rivalry, cuz no way to get back. It's over. We're both retired.